All right, it's recording. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Sam Dennehy, aka Halfass Customs, and this is Halfass Presents, the podcast. Today's special guest is John Howard. John's pretty well known for his LED work that he does in his 187 scale cars and probably other scales, maybe, I don't know. But John, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in the hobby?
Great. Thanks, Sam, for letting me be on here. Like Sam said, I'm John Howard, and I own a small business called Highways and Byways, model railroad graphics and LEDs. I started this business in 2014 after I've been a model railroader since probably 1977, 78, somewhere around there. I started off at N scale and wound up into O scale, but better. Anyway, after I retired, I decided I was going to get back into trains. I sold my tractor. I went to the hobby shop, found out about DCC. I mean, I went whole hog about DCC controller engines, loaded up on track and cork road bed and everything, and just went to town. And it felt really good to get back into it. I have some issues with PT work on a car, try to figure out how to put lights where, you know, that's my method of coping with it.
Yeah.
When I started on my very first layout, I started laying down a street, and I thought, man, I've got this old plotter that I used to make signs with, and I tried doing my own vinyl graphics. They came out great, and so that just made my favorite part of building a model railroad was the roads.
Oh, nice.
I like making realistic roads. And then I thought, well, man, I need some cars to go on these roads. And the first car I got was a Texas DPS trooper car, and for dummies. And I started trying to learn a few things. Next thing you know, I had lights in the car, and it was awesome. And Ron Bright's, I'm not sure how to say his last name, in Canada, Australia, I'm sorry. He's my hero. I started seeing his YouTube videos and a lot of his posts on what he was doing with scale vehicles and LEDs, and I was just blown away. And I decided I've got to get further into this. Now, I'm not like you, Sam. I can't sit down and detail a vehicle the way you do it. I leave that up to the people that I do the lights for generally. I have one customer that says, hey, you need to start putting details on your trucks along with the light. And I said, well, I'll get to that some point. But I think that just putting the lights in the car, on putting that lead wires on the LEDs, where I'm going to place them and all that, I guess that's probably my main favorite part of this incredible hobby we have. Now, I have done N-scale cars. I've done mostly 187, of course. I've done 164. I've done 124. I've done 112. I've done just about any scale that you can think of. I really want to start doing more of the ones you buy brand new. They're cheap, plus the details on them are really nice. But that's about it. I can show you around a little bit, maybe. Let me see if this will get on. That's a current project. That's a cattle trailer, and it's probably got about 100. My layout, which is something that I don't have time to work on, but maybe every once in a while I get to on the weekend. It's pretty messy in here, and I apologize for that. railroading since the late 70s and got back into it in 2014.
Okay, okay. Well, I can tell you, I know the first time I got wind of you, you would be posting the LED videos that you did on the group, and I didn't know about anybody else doing that kind of work, like as a side job or a full-time job. So I knew when I was ready to get something done, you were going to be the guy I went to. And I'll tell you what, you
Right.
launched my whole entire uh, movie car sort of customer business thanks to your LED work you did in my Ghostbusters car. And I tell everybody that
Thank you.
you're the guy who made that car come to life, because I can build it, but it just looks like a regular model. But you putting the LEDs in it, and that just took it over the border, and it people went crazy for it. And thanks to you, I've sold like 20 of those cars.
That's great. I mean, I've got two of them. Actually, I bought three of them, trying to do one, replicate it, and I can't get it. Cannot get the painting done on the car. So, what you do, you got to have an incredibly steady hand, and that's a
Right.
really great looking. And it was a pleasure for me to be able to. It's more of an honor for me to actually do that first car for you. There's not very many people in the U.S. or abroad that do what I do, aside from like East Coast. There's a guy 100 miles away from me that does it, but his work is, and I'm not going to name names, but his work is very inferior. I always concentrated on trying to hold hide as much of the wiring and circuitry as I can in the limited spaces that I can, because if you can leave the windows clear, it makes the model that much look that much better. But the majority of times
Right.
you can't. You know.
Well, that's a good thing about like say diesel trucks, is you can hide most of that inside the trailer if you wanted, or in the sleeper.
Right.
When in a passenger
Right.
vehicle, and if it is a clear windowed vehicle where you can see interior, that makes it just that much harder to hide it and to wire it right and all that other stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's correct. I
That's
mean, I really get a lot of joy in making other people smile whenever they see the vehicles that I do for them. And I thank God for the talent that He's given me to do that every day. But to me, it's when people call me or text me back, says, "Man, this car you did for me is just incredible. I can't believe it." It just makes me feel good, and in knowing that I'm helping somebody realistic, which is the whole reason that I did the graphics. I wanted to be able to help people make their layout more realistic. And between the graphics and the cars, you can do that.
right. Well, yeah, exactly. And then when you add animation to it, like lights, that brings it just to the next level. And like like Mike Budd a couple months ago did some photos of a night scene just to show off the lights he did in his car. And yeah, if you have your layout at nighttime and you have your roads and all your cars on it, and none of them have lights, but yet they're on the road as if they were driving, yeah, that's not going to look good at
Right.
all. So you have to have those LED lights in order to mimic nighttime driving. Or if you're pulling over speeders in most of your commercial vehicles.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. That's true. Uh, I don't limit my LED work to just vehicles. I've done oil refineries in the past with, hundreds of lights on them, animated lighting in office buildings and stuff like that. But the whole thing with LEDs, due to the size, I mean, you can put them just about anywhere. and one LED will make a scene pop,
Oh
especially
yeah,
if you go and turn the lights off and start taking pictures. So the whole LED thing to me is made this hobby that much more enjoyable.
definitely. And I know really the next step is to kind of do like an RC version, kind of like the Wonderland in Germany, where everything is animated. I think for me, I don't need anything to actually move. I just need it to light up and look cool. But I think we've already got the lights, numerous lights, in our cars and buildings and whatnot. So that's the logical next step, is to literally make everything else move now, along with the lights.
Right. Along with that, I've actually got one of those Faller car sets, and I'm thinking about trying to incorporate some of that into my layout. Uh, you're right. Animation makes it come alive more. Like, for instance, the Walters pump jacks. I finished the layout last year or early this year for a customer, and I had 3 of those pump jacks on there next to a refinery, and just rocking up and down. There's movement besides the
Right.
trains going around in a circle or whatever. So
Yeah.
I I rack my brain at times trying to think, how could I animate something? And over the past year or so, I've been buying motors and gears and things like that for when I sit down and try to figure out what kind of project I want to do next.
That makes sense. I mean, it's better to
Excuse
have
me.
stuff already in hand than have to then think about what you want and say, okay, I want to work on this, but don't have anything for it. So it makes sense to order that stuff and to have it before you even thought of it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Uh, I just, if something bites me and I say I've got to have it or I'm thinking about it, I'm going to buy whatever parts I need for it then. Uh, I tell you one thing that I saw, there's a company out there that makes it. It's these little neodymic magnets that you put on a piece of flexible hose, and you put those on your freight cars for the airlines. And when you couple the cars, the magnets automatically connect, so you've got a connectable airline. I don't
Oh,
remember
that's
the
neat.
name of the company that actually markets them, but I found those magnets. I made my own, and that's just something else. If I see something that I like, if I figure out a way to make it my own, I'm going to do it my own. I'll build it
Yeah.
myself, not to deprive that person of the money or anything like that, but just to say I did it. I mean, I love a good challenge.
Yeah, well, that's the definition of a true modeler too, though. I mean, you can be a modeler and then just buy everything done and not really model, but then you can buy something, figure out how it's done, and make it your own and make it better to your liking.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, uh, I'd like to get into uh, designing and building kits to sell commercially that aren't something that you see every day. You get the building kits and they're all 1950s, 40ish, what have you. There's no modern, very few, let me rephrase that. There's very few modern kits of modern buildings, you know,
Right.
for instance, skyscrapers and what have you. So that's just
Yeah,
something else I'd like to get into eventually.
there I have noticed that there is a company, or maybe it's not even a I think it's a company, and then individual people making modern fast food restaurants, like up to date versions of,
Right.
like, say 10 years ago to present. And I think that's finally, like, we've been needing that for the last 20 years, because to have that old KFC build in from the 1950s on your layout to be a modern downtown, I mean, that KFC is not going to work. That building's
Right.
nowhere in America anymore. So to have something old instead of
Yeah.
something new, you need that new stuff.
Well, Summit's Custom Cuts is one company that makes modern, I think they do a Taco Bell and CVS Pharmacy. They do a lot of buildings that are modern day gas stations, what have you. And in fact, I'm going to be trying to make a trip over to Louisiana next month to visit with the owner of that,
Nice.
Summit Custom Cuts. He's invited us over, and we're going to talk business, and then we're going to talk about buildings. So
That's
hopefully
awesome, man.
that goes okay.
That's way cool. Yeah, I don't have any plans to talk to any manufacturers about anything. I just have people that I consider decent friends that help me with my projects. So like you helped me with the Ghostbusters car, and I couldn't have been happier with that thing. And then Joseph Billings is helping me with some stuff. And so no actual companies as of yet, but you know, who knows? Maybe something in the future.
Yeah, well, I wish you more than the best luck for that. You know, there's more people like this hobby needs more people like us. And I'm not bragging on myself, but I provide a service. You provide a service, and those services are few and far between. So again, my whole goal is to make your layout more realistic, but at the same time is like you said, I've made so many friends all over this world now just from posting some pictures and videos, and it makes
Right.
people smile. But the hobby needs more of that. The hobby needs more individuals that are willing to take a risk, start a little business, and put a new product out on the market that people want.
Yeah, that would be cool. And you're right that we definitely need that because the hobbies in general are slowly disappearing. And even though the train hobby is still thriving, um, I don't know that it's thriving more or better than it was, say, 20 years ago. Um, I don't pay attention to the train side of this hobby, but I mean, just hobbies in general are slowly disappearing. So if we can get um, younger to middle-aged people that have the skills to offer new stuff into this hobby, or even companies offering new stuff for the customers, I mean, that's ultimately the goal to keep the hobby alive. Because say if we were still only building Jordan miniature kits and that's all there was out there, nobody would be building any of those because they've already done it 100
Yeah.
times and they're tired of them now. So there definitely does need to be more innovative people to come up with new ideas and new products. And I mean, before I saw your
Yeah.
videos, I never saw
I agree
anybody's
with you.
videos of the LEDs. You were the first person I saw that put that many LEDs in a vehicle. I thought that was awesome.
And that was a challenge. But I tell you one thing that I'm really impressed with is the new 3D resin printing and a lot of the
Yeah.
products that people are putting out. Aside from the 3D printed stuff, the typical 3D printed stuff. And that's what impresses me is that somebody has the ability to sit down and design these vehicles, apparatus, whatever it is. And I really enjoy seeing those things put up where they're made available to people to buy, because that's just something you don't normally see and is not
Right.
really commercially available except through some of these individuals that puts time and effort into doing it.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't mind real quick, I'm going to pause this recording. I've got to go do something real quick, and then I'll be right back. Is that
All
fine?
right.
All right. Hold on.
All right. Get set back up here.
Yeah, so I think what you do is really, really neat. I can't, I mean, it's not that I can't, I've never tried it, and I don't really want to try it either. I think it has what you do has a special skill in itself that I don't know, and I don't think that I would be able to pull off as good. Um, so what you do is really, really cool.
Well, I appreciate it. I guess it's just the way I was raised. My dad never took a car to a mechanic in his life. He took care of it. And my dad got me into hot rods. And from the time I was 15, 16, I was in the garage with him, pulling motors, rebuilding them, putting them back in. And so I've always been the type of person that says, I don't need to take my car somewhere. I don't need to have this done by somebody else. I'll do it myself. And if I mess it up, then I'll find somebody to fix it. But
Right.
that's just my nature. I like being able to do things myself, And being as I'm retired, I'm not going to sit on the couch and waste away. I'd rather be sitting out here in my training room in my office, trying to
Right.
do something just to keep from going haywire.
Yeah,
But
no, that makes sense. I mean,
I mean,
I'm building stuff even when I'm working.
I'm backlogged like you wouldn't believe right now because of this whole COVID bull crap. But it's given me time to think of new projects, new things that I want to do. And man, I've got probably 300 vehicles sitting up here on the shelves that I want to do. I want to get
Wow.
them lit up, you know. Yeah, yeah. I've got a bunch because I buy them every time I see them. And if my wife knew what was out here, she'd probably shoot me. But
I think
I
that's
think
every
most of
wife.
us are like that. But
Yeah. If they only knew
yeah,
how much we had in a
but
layout or our
you
collection.
know, right. And I don't do just police cars. I mean, I favor them because I was a cop for 29 years, so 28 and a half, almost 29 years. But I do fire trucks, I do ambulances, I do maintenance of way vehicles, I do just commercial vehicles, just anything, just to give it, like I said, we're going to give a little animation, a little lighting to our layouts. And I don't care. People will ask me, "Hey, can you do this?" I said, "I can try." What else can I? I'm not going to say no, because no is defeat, and I'm not that kind of person. I'd rather
Right.
say, "Yeah, I'm going to try," and I usually get it done. You know, but I mean, this hobby is just, I missed it while I was away for 30 some odd years. And I'm really glad to be back in it because I've met so many nice people like yourself included. And, uh, like I said, I know people all over the world now. And before this Facebook crap, that never would have happened. But I like the people that are involved in this hobby because
Yeah.
most people are positive about it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I can tell you that we're glad that you're in this hobby too, because I don't know. I mean, I know from the amount of posts that you post and the work that you do that every single person that gets something from you is grateful because you make the cars and the vehicles just look so neat. I mean, I'm not a police vehicle guy. I don't, they don't really do nothing for me, but when I see what you do with them, I mean, those things look like they're real. If you angle it the right way, you put it on a display just perfect. I mean, the thing can look real with the way you have the lights just flashing. It's amazing.
I've actually had people think some of my scenes that I've done in the past, man, is that real or what? And I'm like,
Right.
no, this is part of my train layout that I'm building, And that's,
Well,
I
yeah.
don't get to work on the layout much, but I love the scenery aspect of everything.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
I'm trying to right now do a river scene that will be reminiscent of the Frio River here in Texas, where my whole family normally goes for a summer vacation. So I'm recreating that on the layout, mostly just for them to see,
Yeah,
But
this
I
is where
mean,
we
that's
hung
that's
out.
one thing you can do with your layout. Yeah, your layout can be where you grew up. It could be, places that you visited and stuff like that. So that's one
Right, right.
thing that I like about the hobby is that you can do those things.
Well, it's funny you
I
say that
actually
because,
grew up in the oil fields.
oh, wow.
I, I'm sorry. I actually grew up in the oil field, and uh, then things turned bad. That's why I got laid off on the police department. But so I'm not, I like doing the police cars, but I like doing oil field related things as well.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, so what I was going to say is I was interviewing David Rowley, I believe his name is. He does he does all the Dave Town dioramas and scenes that you might have seen on Facebook or whatever. But he's created his own town called Dave's Town, but everything in it is from stuff that he grew up around. Like he has like a speed shop that was out there in his town, and then he has this huge like yard sale scene that he made. I mean, it's not a huge scene, but what he packed in this little tiny diorama is so much stuff. I mean, every one of his
Yeah,
models tell a story in itself. And he said he gets all the inspiration from stuff he grew up around. So just like what you were saying, you can make it your own town where you grew up. That's exactly what he's kind of doing, which is super neat.
right. I agree, and it's it's just something that you can kick back, and look at. Yeah, man, that kind of looks like the house I grew up in, or the 7-Eleven I used to go to, or hey, there's a skating rink that we used to hang out at. Yeah, the old family farm or whatever. That's one thing that I like doing too. It's just like I said, the scenery. Uh, we recently completed this huge layout. It's 26 feet by 19 feet for a customer. And to sit there and try and decide, okay, I've got 2 square feet over here. What am I going to do here? Hey, you remember we used to do this or, play baseball in the field. So we've got guys out there playing baseball in a cow pasture and things like that. But that's a
Oh, that's
lot of
cool.
that layout was a lot of real estate to deal with, and to sit there and think about, what can we do with this section here. Well, let's do this, uh,
Right.
and people will go in and stand there and look at this thing and just, hey, look at that. I've never seen anything like that before. Just look at the detail over here. Those things are really cool. And I've seen some layouts that have details on them that it would take you hours just to sit there and point. We call them Easter eggs. Figure out each one of the little
Yeah,
singles
right.
got an Easter egg in it, And those
Yeah.
those are the ones that will kind of blow your mind after a while.
Yeah, those are what's neat too. I mean, if you put little tiny hidden into windows and secrets in there just for people to look at, I mean, that's where the modeling gets really cool because you're already telling a story and now you're trying to tell another story with inside of the story. So that's the neat thing about being good enough to do it and then being able to pull it off.
Right. That's a good way to put it. Story within a story.
Yeah. Because I know I was talking to William Radcliffe and I was talking to him up in Springfield when we went this January and Springfield, Massachusetts. And he was, you only basically see the model when he posts in how the pictures he takes for the model. But when you see it in person and you get to talk to him about it, he tells you all the little secrets behind it. And he's put little Easter eggs in almost all of his models that you really have to look for in order to see it. And that's so neat. I mean, you're already thinking of telling the story, and then you say, I got another story with inside of this story to tell.
Yeah. I tell you what, and William Ratcliffe is one of those people that we need more of, because
Oh,
I
yes.
bought some detail parts from here recently, and I look at them. These are amazing. You know, why aren't more people taking a niche that doesn't have things available for it and making their own niche? Hey, you know, like he does with the fire trucks and what have you. You know, somebody could
Right.
do, well, here's my dumpster scene. Okay, there's dumpsters out there, but what about, you know, having this garbage over here? It's not a good
Yeah.
example, but you understand what I'm
No, no, I
saying.
get what you're saying,
You
though.
know,
Yeah.
more people need to. I'm getting phone messages,
It's okay.
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we need more
his stuff
innovators.
is incredible. I mean, yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a guy over in the UK. I think it's called Pit Stop 187,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love
and
that guy.
he
Never
has
met him.
the his. I bought I probably bought a dozen different kits from him at one time, and again, it's perfect. I mean, because if you're going to put a garage on your scene, he's got the toolboxes, he got the shelving, he's got the tools, you know, the
Right.
clock to go on the wall. That's what
Yeah.
we
And
really need more of, people that are willing to invest the time and patience into doing that.
right. And I mean, he thought of so many little things. Like he's got, I think, five or six little photo etch sheets, probably this big, of just hot rod parts. And I bought every one of them like
Right.
twice. And they're just, he's the only one in the whole world that offers hot rod parts. And they're just perfect. The guy was very smart when he thought about doing it. Very smart. Because he even
Yeah,
has Coke
I
vending
agree.
machines, which are awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely need more
The
people.
little details like that, the little details like that are what get me excited about some of the things. But I haven't been able to use them, but they're sitting here, and I've already got in mind, hey, this is what I'm going to do with them when I've got time. It just doesn't happen very often. I got here recently from another manufacturer in Canada, the little taco truck. And that taco truck, when I saw the picture of it, I said, man, that is just beautiful. It's a work of art. And I get it, and it is all wood, laser etched wood. I didn't realize it was that type of kit. And I'm going, you know, this is going to take some time to do, but when it's finished, I know exactly where I'm putting it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what company I got a laser kit, wood kit from, or a laser cut wood kit, but I had one gas station I got in a trade with like two other buildings or something, and I really wanted the kit. And then I open up the box and it's got like a million laser cut wood pieces, and I thought, I don't want it that bad no more. I'm gonna trade this for something else. Because I could
Yeah,
have
some of them
probably
are
built it, but
intimidating.
yeah, it was a little much for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I bought the Walters Coke oven kits and the whole uh, refinery kits from them. I'm thinking, well, these are cool. They're going to be a challenge to put together. And then I bought a Faller kit, and it's got to have 1,000 pages or pieces to it, because the
Oh my
book
gosh.
itself is probably a quarter of an inch thick, just the instructions for it. I want, this is going to
Wow.
take some time and effort to do.
Yeah. I mean, it'll
It's
look good when
it's
it's
incredible.
done, but geez, that's gonna take some time. And you don't want to rush it because
Yeah,
you want
well,
it to look good when you're done.
of course, and and it's going to have LEDs all over it because it's going to go
Oh,
next to the
even better.
refinery that I'm going to build for it. So,
Nice. Nice, nice, nice.
oh man,
That's cool, man. I'm glad you got back into this hobby. I'm glad that you do the work you do, because I didn't know about East Coast Circuit before I saw what you did. I think I only looked into East Coast Circuit because of what you told me after you were done with my Ghostbusters car. Um, because so many people would hit me up. Oh, are you selling it? Can you make me one? And I was like, my guy already told me that it was one and done. So I can build you one without the lights, but I don't know what I'm going to do if you want the lights in there. So I only had to look them up um, because of that. But yeah, I mean, I I think I know I thank you, and I think a lot of other people definitely thank you for your detail work in those lights. Because I thought I gave you an impossible task,
um,
and it seemed like it was almost impossible.
it was like I said, it was a challenge to do because I've never done anything that complicated. And you hit me at a time when I was really just getting into it. And by the way, I've got to mention engineering. I'm a dealer for them, and without their circuits, none of what I do would even be possible for me. And like I say, I'm not an electronics whiz, but I can understand written, drawn circuitry diagrams and what have you. But yeah, I saw East Coast Circuits not too long after I started Highways and Byways, and I thought, okay, so there is a market for this because people enjoy seeing it, you know. So
Right.
it's one of those things when River Point Station puts out something new. As soon as I can get one, I try and get it lit before they do. Just to say I did it first.
Right.
I kind of got a big head sometimes, but not jet first. But
Well, you
and
can also,
and I realized that
I was going to say, you can also put that Ghostbusters car down on your list. You were the first person in the world to light that darn car up.
uh, yeah, it was a first, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do it. Like I said, it was a challenge, and I got frustrated with it at times, but I've thought about it since then, and you know, I'm glad that you've got somebody to light them up because they deserve to be lit up. What you do is awesome, and it deserves that extra aspect to it. But it's just not something that I could sit down and do, you know, one after the other. But
Right. Well,
I
I
kind
can
of get
paint them.
distracted sometimes when I'm working on a project and something.
Yeah. I mean, I can paint them
I
and I
get
can put all the
I get
details on them,
distracted.
but
Well, you know, don't say I can't do it until you try.
very true.
That's I mean, I just think that I've had people say, hey, I want to try and do this myself. Where can I get the parts? I said, well, I'm a dealer. I'll make up the LEDs for you, everything you need. Here's the circuits, and boom. And they'll get it. And within a couple of weeks, it's back in my office because
Oh, wow.
they just were a little overwhelmed at it, you know. And so I think if people just sat down and applied themselves, they can do it. I mean, it's difficult to do, but it's not that difficult. You know, I've done hundreds of vehicles over the years now, so I know what I'm doing. But I think it's something everybody really, you know, just put lights in a building. put lights on a street, put street lights up, things like that.
Well, that's funny you say that, because this module back here has 4 street lights, and I bought them off of eBay, and they didn't come with resistors. So I didn't know I needed resistors. So it was a 8-pack of street lights. I burned out 4 of them, not knowing I needed resistors. I thought, oh, the plug converter is just too powerful. It blew the light out. And then I read somewhere that they needed resistors. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Good thing these things weren't expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. The white LEDs are only rated at 3 to 3.2 volts. And a lot of people don't realize that, and they'll make the mistake and they'll burn it out. But again, they don't cost that much. And even if you burn that LED out, you can always replace it. Yes, LEDs do need resistors up to a point. I mean, if you get more than, say, 4 white LEDs, if you're going to wire them in series, you only need a 1 ohm resistor. And so that tells me if I put 5 of them in series, I won't need any resistors at all.
Huh. Interesting.
May not make sense, but that's the way I look at it. And until I try it, like I say, I'm not an electronics guy. I need to learn more and go to school or something. But
yeah,
they're versatile with them. I lightning system for a customer is with it, the sound module, speaker, and everything, and to look at it without having it mounted or anything, so I guess you build cloud in there. And so when the lightning flashes, then you get the thunder. And see, that's just adding more. The LEDs, you can do so much with them.
right.
And did you get all that? Yeah. Okay.
I will say
I just
audio is
finished
cutting
building
out some.
cornhole boards for my wife. Oh, okay. Let me get closer to the door.
I think we got most of it. Yeah, I can hear you now pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I just finished building cornhole boards for the family, and I told my wife, I can't leave this like this. I got to put LED lights all the way around this cornhole board. I don't know if you know what cornhole is. It's just a bean bag.
I only found out when I moved to the South.
I'm thinking this thing, it has, but I just said, no, this has to have LEDs in it. It's going to make it that much nicer looking.
I'm sure it would. But for cornhole? That's funny.
We do a lot of nighttime stuff out here. Like I said, we live in the country. I've got a 30-foot by 40-foot man cave, and my kids come over and their friends throwing darts, ping pong, or we'll take cornhole boards out, set those up. We try and have fun around here. But so if it gets dark, well, you got lights in the cornhole board, and you can still see where you're throwing, basically.
Right.
It's something we haven't tried yet, but we're going to.
Well, that's still cool, man. I mean, hey, at least you're still thinking, and even if you're not putting LEDs in a little car, you're figuring out other uses for them, So that's thinking outside the box and keeping your mind fresh.
I'm trying. I ain't getting any younger.
Yeah, we're all not getting any younger. But that's cool, man. I
just hope I can keep doing this for a good while.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping I can do it for a good while. I haven't yet needed glasses to do what I do, but I know it's coming. So I'm just trying to hold on for as long as I can. And then who knows, pretty
Yeah.
soon I'll need bifocals and then a telescope to see these little cars. Who knows? I don't know.
Hey, I can't see to work with my glasses on. The glasses come off when I go to work because I
Oh,
can see
okay.
better, and then I've got my bifocal lenses I can put on to see really small stuff. There's an LED out on the market. It is the smallest LED in the world. It's an 0204, no, 0201 LED, and it's the smallest LED in the world, but I can put wires on them very
Oh,
carefully. A lot
good.
of times I'll lose the LED, but I've started using these things now. Uh, they're a little bit different from the other sizes that I normally use because these are only 10 milliamps, where your typical uh, LED is 3 milliamps or 20 milliamps. I'm sorry, but so these are half the milliamperage. But they are a huge challenge to work with. But you can put them in places that you wouldn't never think of putting a light. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that. I don't know what size they used for my Night Rider car. It could be that size, but I told East Coast to light up the little red swisher light in the front of the Night Rider car. And I said, "Do you think you can
Right.
put the lights in there?" And they said, "Well, send it because we have a new LED on the market." And I was like, "Okay." And they said, "We can put 5 or 6 LEDs in there." And I was like, "That's perfect. That'll give you the swishing back and forth. And it's not like you just have three in there, because if you had three, then it wouldn't look right. So the more you can put in there to make that swisher swish, I don't know what they even call it, the
Right.
pulsating light, uh, the better."
It's a
And they
running
pulled it
light.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, oh. Hold up. I don't know if this camera will be able to show it. You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna bring it over there. So I did talk to them about the Ghostbusters 2 car, which has like twice as more LED lights on it. And to try to get, I won't light it up, but just to kind of show you, um, I found this extremely amazing. Okay, so there's the Ghostbusters 2 car, and up at the top has the RPS flat uh, cop light, I guess you call it. I don't know, light bar, the flat light bar from RPS, the super flat.
Right.
Well, they put LEDs on each side of the flat light bar. And I thought that was unbelievably amazing. So that could be the LED that you're talking about, because I mean, I would think how flat that light bar is. Um, and
Yes,
they put
man.
LEDs in it, which I didn't think was
Right.
possible.
And well, with these new LEDs, there's, like you said, you can do just about anything with it. You put them in places you never thought of before. And that's just an idea I've got for a new light bar, using an RPS light bar and these really small LEDs. Uh,
Yeah.
like I said, they're a lot more difficult to work with, but the results are pretty nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, the LED itself, like you said, is so tiny, and then you'd have to be able to drill out whatever you're putting it in to be that tiny, and you have to be able to see what you're putting it in. You have to be able to see the solder to the wire LED to work with it. There's so much little minute stuff you have to be able to see and be able to do in order to make that light work for how you need it to.
Right. Well, I tell you, uh, the magnetic wire that we use to put wires on our LEDs, two lengths of that are almost as wide as this 0201 LED. So that can give you some idea just how small these things are. I mean, they're incredibly small,
Yeah.
incredibly small.
I would think it'd be too easy to lose it. Like just picking it up and dropping
I
it, you'll never
lose
find it.
probably, yeah. I probably lose 2, maybe 3 out of 10 sometimes because they're
That's
just
not
that
bad.
small.
Yeah, that's not bad. I would figure you'd
No,
lose at least half or more.
it's they're quite a bit more expensive than the 0402s that I use now. And that's something else. Whenever I first started doing the cars, I got the 0603s, and I thought, okay, this is going to be hard to do, but I said 0603s or 0604. I can't even think straight right now.
Well, I think you said
But
both.
that's what I started using, and then I went and discovered. Yeah, I discovered the 0402s, which is basically all I use now. And, it's the same way. That's how I'm able to do the light bars on the police cars, fire trucks, and what have you, is with the 0402s. But with the 0201s, I'll be able to put twice as many in there if I can find room. I mean, like I say, due to their small size, you get a huge bundle of wire by the time you put, 6 or 12 of them in there. And then you've got to hide that wire.
Right.
So that things look good.
Well, that's what's crazy about that Ghostbusters 2 car is I had it all painted. I had the decals set up, and I had to build a roof rack to allow 2 light bars to sit in front, and then a light bar to sit on top of. I don't know if you're even familiar with that car. Hold on. So up on the top, let me see if we can get some better light. Up on the top in the front, there's like a 70s style light bar, like the kind that you lit up
Right.
the first time for me, that you can get from I think it's
Right.
Bush. And then you have the RPS light on top, and then on the back you have another light
Right.
bar on top there. So I had to build the whole roof rack, and then I sent it over to them with just the light bars completely disassembled from it. I said, go pull it up on YouTube. This is the car that you're building. Mimic every light on that car. That's exterior. I don't need any interior because the car's hollow. And they said, okay, well, we'll look into it and I'll get back to you. I'll let you know if we can do it or not. So about like 3 months later, they get back to me and they said, we can do all of that. And I was like, what? That seems impossible. I don't even understand any of that. But they did it.
Well, they've got some great products. I had reached out to them years ago to inquire about buying some of their circuits from, but they don't sell them. So
Right.
that didn't work. And then, like I say, I ran into engineering, so I use all of his products. And then the thing about engineering is if you're using one circuit and it's not doing what you want, he can always create a special program within limits to do what you want it to do.
Oh, that's neat.
Like when I first started putting the wigwag headlights in the police cars, some people say, well, you don't flash fast enough. Call him up. Can you speed them up? He said, yeah, I'll speed them up. And hey, let me add this, or let me do that. So he's a really good guy to work with. But a lot of times I have to use several circuits, for different effects. So again, it goes back into, am I going to have room for it?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, depending on the vehicle, that definitely is a concern. The bigger the vehicle, the better the option to hide stuff and to put stuff in there, but the smaller the vehicle, that's why I think that
I've
what
got
you do is such a good job.
Thank you. Uh, I've got a 3D printed police motorcycle, HO scale. I will put lights in this thing, and it's going to be amazing, but the circuitry is going to have to be remotely placed because there's
Right.
just nowhere to put a circuit on the motorcycle. But I can't wait to get to do that. And I've had them for at least a year, probably closer to 2 years.
Well, I know how Mike Buddy does it. So he'll wire the car with long leads coming out from underneath them, and then he just drills a hole in his layout where they're going to sit and stay forever, and then he wires it up underneath with whatever circuit board or whatever connection he has. So that might be what you will have to do too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it would just be, the circuit would be remote. You know, you'd have a bundle of wires, like say you just drill a hole in the layout wherever. It won't be that hard to do. That's
Right.
what I've done with some of the N-scale vehicles I've done. You know, well, there's no room for two circuits in here, but you can place them remotely and still get the effect that you want.
Yeah, that'd be neat. I have this idea. I've had it for a little while, but I haven't done anything to try to pull it off by like asking you or asking East Coast or not. But I have an idea for a hot rod with the exhaust coming straight out of the engine, like curving upwards. And I want to
Right.
use clear tubing, or not clear, hollow tubing for that. And I want an LED in each one to mimic like the flames coming out of the exhaust pipes. But I haven't talked to anybody about that. You're the first person to ever hear this because I've never said that to anybody. But that's a future project.
Yeah, and that's something that can be done, especially if you're going to use a hollow tube. Then you can just twist up some cotton, stick it into the ends of it,
Yeah.
and place an LED inside the cotton. And I've
Right.
actually done something similar to that. Okay, I did a 124 scale Batmobile, and I don't know which one it is. I'm sorry, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but it's a Batmobile that's all black, and it's got two pop-up 50 caliber machine guns, one on either fender. And there's a circuit that I use for that makes it look like those things are firing. And it's really
That's so
cool.
cool.
And we could do the same thing with your exhaust.
Yeah.
We could use the same circuit.
That's awesome because I
That's something.
don't necessarily need the headlights to work. I just want those exhausts to look like they're shooting flames out of them. I think that would be neat.
Right. I mean, I would think that if you used a clear hollow tube, if you could find one, use some of that Tamiya orange, what do they call it? Clear orange.
Yeah.
And then have the cotton with the LED inside of it. I think that
Right.
worked pretty good.
Yeah, I seen there was a person from Japan that took a Hot Wheels rat rod truck, and he did the hollow tubing, and he did that. And so he had his exhaust like come out like this out of the engine, and then the lights would alternate the tubes for the actual cylinders that were being pumped in the engine to mimic, you know, the cylinders in an engine pumping through the exhaust. So they would light up separately on each side, which really made it look cool. But that's future. I'm not looking to get that anytime soon. That's just been a thought in my head for a long time.
Well, we can always talk about it when you want to get closer to it.
Yeah. Well, if I can ever stop building these Ghostbusters cars, because it's like every time I get a customer that wants one, I get a couple people interested, and then it's about a 6-month waiting list to get one. So once I get it in 6 months, I'll post it up, say, hey, look at what I just finished. And then I get a whole flood of new people wanting that car. And then 6 months later, I get a whole new
Yeah.
flood of people. So I built too many of them. And it's all thanks to
Yeah.
you.
I know how you feel because, you know, I'll post a video of a vehicle and, you know, everybody and their brother, I want one. Can you build one
Right.
for me? You know, how much does it cost? Blah, blah, blah. And that's another thing is that I've had people tell me I'm charging too much. And then I've got some really good customers that tell me I don't charge enough. You know, I'm not going to get rich on this. I try to make things affordable, but people have to realize the amount of time and effort that goes into each one of these, because you got to sit there and wire up the LEDs, because I don't buy pre-wired LEDs. I wire my own. You got to figure out the placement. You got to take the light bar, get your LEDs in there, you know, so it's hours and hours of work. So
Right.
I'm probably making minimum, excuse me, daggone fly. I'm probably paying myself minimum wage, and I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, well, I
So,
kind of I feel that same way with my builds. I don't think I charge enough, but honest, I'm not trying to rip people off either. So, I mean, if
yeah,
I can build the car in a day, then send it out to, you know, East Coast to have them light it up or you to light it up or whatever, then that's like I'm done after that, because now the rest is up to you or them. And so
right.
then it's just a waiting game to, you know, once you're finished to get it back, and then here you go, customer.
Right. Uh, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort to doing something like this. And I'm a one-man operation when it comes to lighting the vehicles. So I'm not I'm not Speedy Gonzalez, but my dad always told me anything we're doing is worth doing right. So I try and take my time to make things look right.
Well, everything I've ever seen that you've done looks incredible. So I would say you're definitely doing a good job at it.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. It's it makes me feel good when people see what I do and they comment and say, "Man, that's great," or you know, "Fantastic job," because it accomplishes what I set out to do, which is to, you know, probably try and bring a smile to somebody's face or some amazement to them, or any, you know, any emotion that I can get out of people is good for me. I just enjoy
Yeah.
doing it.
Well, I mean, to I I keep bringing it up because it's the most famous car I've got. But I mean, when you said you would do the Ghostbusters car, it brought the biggest smile on my face. And then when you shot me the video of it all lit up and working, I was I think I was in New York on vacation at the time, and I wasn't expecting it. And so when you showed it to me, I thought, in my opinion, I probably had the coolest 187 scale car ever made. And it was because you lit it up. It looked cool before you lit it up, but once you lit it up, it was done. Like, there was no competition. Nothing else out there was anywhere close
Yeah,
to being better than it, in my opinion.
it's a one of a kind.
Yeah. Well, it's a one of 18 now, but it's
It
the
was a
first.
challenge, and I appreciate you giving me. Yeah. Uh, well, I think I'm going to have to get back to work here in a minute.
Well, that's cool. Let's see what time it is.
It, it,
Okay. Well, That's cool, John. I appreciate you coming on here. Means a lot because I've admired your work for a long time, and I know a lot of the people that are going to view this and listen to it admire your work and appreciate everything you do. And I think this was just a really cool thing that you offered to do, because not your LED work, the podcast, because this gives a lot of our viewers and a lot of our listeners a little insight into getting to know you and what you do and what you're all about. And I think this did it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm honored that you asked me to even do this, because uh, it just makes me think that I know Sam appreciates what I do, and he wants
Right.
to introduce me to other people that may not have heard of me before, and I appreciate that. I'm not very good at this kind of thing, but
Half of my
I try and
interviews
do the
are
best I
not that good
can.
either. So don't feel bad. I
Yeah,
was talking to
but
Junior
I've enjoyed.
Berg. I was saying I was talking to Junior Berg, and he had to get his daughter to download Zoom because he wasn't sure how to do it. And then it took like another week for us to finally get the interview going. So that's cool.
Yeah,
Not everybody is tech savvy, but at least we got it done.
well, yeah, and again, I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and run my mouth to you. Hope it's not too boring.
No, none of this was boring. That's what's great about it. Everything you said was it was very interesting to get to know John Howard, the person and the model builder. And maybe in the
Well,
future, um, if you don't mind, maybe I can wrap around and, maybe later on this year, maybe next year, we can try to do this again or something. It's up to you.
absolutely, absolutely. I'd enjoy it. I
Awesome.
might have
Cool.
learned something new by then.
Maybe there's an even smaller LED by then.
No, nothing smaller than what I've got.
Something
All
that needs
right,
a
Sam.
telescope
Well,
to see.
thanks again for the opportunity. Yeah,
Oh,
thanks
definitely,
again for the
definitely.
opportunity. And I enjoyed it. And getting to see you face to face is a little bit different than Messenger. So,
Right. Well, my user
um,
profile isn't me. That's like a flower skeleton I've been using since I joined Facebook. So yeah, nobody knows what I look like without this podcast.
yeah,
But
I'm pretty much the same way. I'm not one to post selfies and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I don't
all
do
right.
that
Well, have a
either.
good evening, and thanks
All
again
right,
for having
John.
me on.
No problem. You have a good night, and you take it easy out there. See
All
you
right,
later.
brother. Keep doing what you do.